thinking of playing Iron Cross man-to-man combat on the East Front, 1941-42. Taking a look, an extended look at the Demyansk Pocket Scenario 1. Alright, so again, playing this, this makes me think of the time period where games got into some pretty complex or involved, I guess you could say, turn sequences. That's what I think of anyways. This is pretty interesting. Okay, so I talked about the numbered for the phases. I took off the fire marker for the machine gun here because it was labeled with 3, which tells me that they fired during the previous movement phase, which would have been the Soviet movement phase, which tells me that that was opportunity fire. But now we're well past that, so I don't think that their firing is relevant anymore, because now we're in the German turn, by the way. German turn first phase is the morale phase. But, for example, those Russians down there, they fired in the 6th phase, so they fired in the moving fire phase, which was towards the end of the Soviet turn, which means that that's still relevant. Actually, this is very relevant, right? Because we're going to do the morale phase. I'm going to talk about the morale phase, which is a dual phase, by the way. I think both sides are going to do that. But when we go to the German support fire phase, when they do observation, for example, oh wow, I like that. That really, see, that gives the player an incentive to keep hitting the same target, because that is now, okay. So when we get to the support by fire phase, we're going to count back 3 phases to see if that observation modifier applies. We skip the morale phase, so we go back to the Russian assault phase is 1. Moving fire, the Russian moving fire phase, well, actually that's it, right? We just went back 2 phases and it applies. So I like that. I think that there always should be an incentive, various incentives. There are various ways to do it, of course, but to model reality, there should be an incentive for continuing to engage, or follow-up engagement with targets that have already been hit or engaged. Okay, so that's these guys. Of course, these are friendly units. They fired in the previous defensive fire phase. So 1, 2, 3. See, that still applies, but the support by fire phase is friendly, so that's not going to apply. But how would you know that? How would you know that? I don't know how you'd know that, but in any case, I'm going to take it off a little later, but I think that I know what I would take it off. I guess I'd take it off at the start of the support fire phase, because that's when I'm looking for eligible fires, I guess. I'll do that. I'll just do it that way. All right, so morale phase. We have 3 steps here. Reveal adjacent hidden units, recover pinned and suppressed units, select machine gun modes. I don't think there's any reason to change machine gun modes, but this is when we do it. And remember, you're doing that for your light machine guns as well. I still don't think of light machine guns as having that, but then again, there's not a reason why they can't use a different machine gun modes. Okay, this is both players participate. Yeah, okay. So none of the Germans have taken any like pinned or suppressed results, but the Russians do. The Russians have that. Okay, so pin markers come off automatically. But what are this in order? What are the steps? Pinned markers are automatically removed, and then you check to remove suppressed units markers. Okay, so the medium machine gun there. It's funny, I don't remember the medium machine gun getting pinned, but I guess they were. So I'm removing the pinned marker automatically. I guess that goes on them. Oh, isn't that funny? Yeah, it must. And this is how I know that it was the German medium machine gun. Boy, I hope this is right, because this is what my markers are telling me. they observed that stack. Okay, because it's A to A. Okay, I'm just doing that to link them. Observer to observed. Okay. And then we would check to remove suppression. I don't remember any others. Shouldn't be any others. Okay. And then status of hidden units and machine gun modes. Okay. Now we go to the support fire phase. Okay, since this is the German support fire phase, any normal status units can fire and then resolve mortar attacks. Okay, so now I guess I would look for German fired markers, right? So I have a German fired marker. I figured out this was the defensive fire phase before, so that's not going to matter anymore. That's like, I don't know what you want to call it. Of course, the rules don't explain it, but it's not. What do you want to call it? It's obsolete or whatever you want to call that. All right. So this is the support fire phase. So again, well, I'll use my own thinking. They've already observed here, so they have an added benefit. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to do that. I talked about it, so I'm going to do that. And we'll see what that means. So support fire announced the attack. Both riflemen firing at the same stack that they tried to engage earlier. Determined line of sight is still good, except just for us to remember, we're going through one tree. Oh, that's it. Yeah, because that's a clear hex. I remember that. Oh, here's where the movement. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to talk about it as we run into it. But that move marker is going to come into play. Okay. So line of sight is good. Now we go to observation. So this is key. All right. So again, what we need. Well, let's get the range first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that right? 12. All right. So I have a range of 12. They are in a clear hex. So as a matter of fact, I'll show this time. They're in a clear hex. Come over here to the observation base number is 10. So we need to get 10 or less to observe, which is very good. All right, then we go to, is there a procedure? Where is it? There it is. For observation procedure for each observation attempt, roll 2 dice. Yes, we're going to be rolling 2 dice. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and roll, and then we'll do our modifiers from there. Ooh, we want a low number. We rolled a 9. Okay, roll 2 dice and add the results together. This number is compared to the observation base number, 10, for the type of terrain found in the target hex. We want equal to or less. Okay, so modifiers. For every 5 hexes beyond the initial 5, we have 1 full block of 5 hexes beyond the initial 5. So we have +1. So we have +1. No improved positions. 1 tree symbol. Well, there are no tree symbols in the target hex, but there is a tree symbol along the line of sight. So that's adding another 1, which, by the way, right now we're at 9 + 2 is 11, which is more than 10. Right now we're at a negative observation, but we're not done. Marsh hexes don't apply. Are they they're now in downstate, right? They are in downstate. So that's plus another 1. Now we're even okay. Now we're even farther from our goal. If the observing unit moved, this is the observing unit. They did not move because they're not marked. They're not marked with a movement marker. So that does not apply. Now modifiers. Those are all the modifiers that favor the target. So now let's see what favors the observer. If the target was successfully observed, it's already successfully observed, right? That's what my markers are showing me. So we're going to subtract 1. So we're going back down to 2. If the target hex is 2 or more levels lower, it's only 1 level lower, so that doesn't apply. If any unit in the target hex moved within the last 3 phases, that's where we need to figure out, does this apply or not? So they So here we know that they had to have moved in the previous movement phase. Well, you know what? I'm going to figure this assault question out, whether that... Well, wait a minute. No, I'll figure it out, even though it doesn't apply here. Okay, I would not call that a definitive answer, but it looks to me like that moving into a hex for assault is not considered movement for this purpose. So it does look pretty clear. Friendly units move in the movement phase. Non-phasing units, or I should say phasing units, move in the movement phase. Non-phasing units move in the reaction movement phase. Period. That's it. Which means that now, from that reading, that tells me that all of these would not apply because they all moved during the previous movement phase, so they can all come off. And that modifier does not apply. So where are we now? That would have made a difference, by the way. That would have made a difference. I think that might hurt us. So AFE, no. Observers, a commander, no. These are just riflemen. There are only 3 enemy in the hex, not 4 more. And firing. Again, these are all these different categories of firing. Non-machine gun unit, using AP fire, LMG or ATR is another class, MMG or mortar is another class, and finally ATG, AFE or machine gun using intensifier. Well, that's cool to actually distinguish those. So, for example, a machine gun using intensifier is quite a bit easier to... Well, no, not quite a bit, but is more easy to observe than a machine gun using regular fire. That's interesting. Okay, but anyways, that doesn't apply here. So wow, they failed. 9 plus 2, 11, which is not 10 or less. So they did not observe. Oh wow, that's... I guess that means that these are removed now. I didn't think about that, but so they still fire. We still continue on. It's unobserved fire. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if they could. This is rhetorical. I wonder if they could break off their attack, but I don't think so. So, oops. Guess I could have left all that stuff because they're still going to fire. So range of 12. So it's unobserved fire. Firepower is going to be halved. All right. So PCs to fire. So again, we have a 9 and a 7. The 9 is good. The top soldier. Oh, and the bottom soldier again chokes. But still marked as fired. Just the firepower is not going to be involved here. So this is a measly 3. This is going to be a long shot, very long shot here, but let's go through. So 3 firepower. Yeah, firepower. So I was reviewing firepower recently, so we go in order. We do range attenuation first, which is what? So it's every 5 or part thereof. Yep. So this is was it -2, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. The base range is 8. So that's just -1. Okay. So we start with 3. -1 is 2. Yeah. This is going to be a minimum. We're going to have for unobserved. Have for unobserved, and we're going to subtract 1 for that tree. What happens when you go... I'm wondering if the rules... -1 for... What happens if you're... I don't know what happens when your firepower goes to 0. How did I have something last time? I don't remember. All right, I feel bad because I can't find the answer. I'm going to assume that they're still marked as fired, but that it's just automatically no effect. I don't know how you would deal with 0 firepower. Okay, so that is German. That's one attack from the German support fire phase.